All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, YouTubers and everybody here with us tonight on this full moon. It's episode 397. I really hope I got that right. If I didn't, he'll fix it. Rick will fix it. Rick is taking the night off today, so we're having Rick C and myself. We call him Rick C. It's Rick Cempie and I'm Claudia, and we have our usual suspects with us tonight. But for us, we see each other every week. But for you guys on YouTube, please come any week, anytime. Starself.com. That's where you can find the link to join us live. And tonight we're going to do a repeat of what we discussed last week. And if you were here last week was a wonky week because we had some
Interruptions?
technical interruptions. And so we are basically doing this one again. However, it's always going to be different. So you're not going to be hearing the same exact stuff. Last week was kind of a preview, and that was with Rick D. So this is also a topic that we can't really talk about enough, and I'm saying that just personally because the more I learn about Pluto, the more I learn about what it does in the world generationally on a societal level.
Another
And personally, the more I realize there is actually a lot more to learn. And I continue to learn that all the time. And you'll see that with different transits in your chart. You'll experience them, and then your understanding of what it's really doing in your chart changes as you go along the journey. And then years later, you also look back and go, wow, that was whatever it was. But when you're in it, it feels different. It's like you're in the heat of the fire. So Rixie and I are going to talk about Pluto, Pluto going into Capricorn and what it's done with us, right? The whole world globally. The US, where we are, for those watching us, elsewhere, we're the whole earth. This isn't just about the US. Just happens to
right.
be that pretty much everybody here is in the US. But it's such a critical time for us, and I'm watching it because I'm seeing the changes. I'm seeing really such a culmination. And basically, it's like the garbage is taking itself out now. And I don't know when I started to really notice it. I think it really, when it got to the 29th degree, I really was like, wow, this is no holds barred. It's happening. The world won't be the same after we're done with Pluto and Capricorn. And then we start Pluto and Aquarius. That's another, to me, I like to look at Aquarius as being co-ruled by Uranus and Saturn. So we're going from Pluto being in Capricorn, which is a Saturnian sign, to another Saturnian sign. So that's kind of significant to me. That really me Pluto always means business. We know that, right? Pluto is not, there's nothing mundane, light, average about Pluto. And if you're having a transit that is affecting you personally, you know it. It it's not, oh, well, I was thinking maybe I was feeling it. No, no, you feel it. Your life changes. It's uncomfortable sometimes. And so Rick and I thought we'd start with the discovery of Pluto. Pluto was discovered in 1930. And I'm going to bring up that chart, and I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. And we'll take a look at basically how it all began. Uh, discovery charts are so key because they really tell us a lot. To me, it's a little bit of foreshadowing. So Here we go. Tell me if you guys can see that.
Yes.
Okay, you see the chart? Because I have two
Yes.
screens. Okay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I think, Rick, before we start on this one, I just want to make sure that I think I have this right. February 18th, 1930, 4 p.m. in Flagstaff.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's correct. Yeah. Which I was doing it by memory and I was 10 days off because I was thinking February 8th when we first were
Yeah.
chatting. It's February 18th. When I looked and saw things wonky, I'm like trying to figure out why do these not match appropriately?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to take us through the beginning? Um,
Mm.
and we won't go over the charts. We'll spend some time looking at the charts, the discovery chart, and then the Pluto ingress, and then we'll go into Aquarius. And then we'd like to have a look at you guys. Where has Pluto been? What's it been doing for you all? Because it's been doing something. Some of us have been feeling it really intensely, and others, it'll just travel through a house, maybe not making any aspects. But I think it'll be good to learn how every one of us experienced it in the last 15 plus years.
Can I ask you a question, Claudia?
Yeah.
What does I can imagine, but I don't know, so I'm going to ask. What does the discovery chart mean?
That is when I'll take this one.
Yeah.
The discovery chart is when a celestial body is confirmed that it has been sighted down
Ah,
to the time, day, and uh, location
ah,
by the observatory. And that creates the first awareness that our planet has of the energy of that experience coming into our consciousness.
okay.
So your question is well
This is its
timed.
birthday, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
All right.
coming out. It's coming out party.
Okay.
Yeah. So, wow. I'm just going to go through and hit some highlights.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Leo on the ascendant. Isn't it interesting that after we had a feel for Pluto, then we had a lot of people focusing on how um,
I'm sorry.
Pluto it can be described as all exalted in Leo, and
I'm sorry.
I understand you're accidentally hitting buttons and
Yeah.
such.
I didn't know Peggy was male.
Yeah, she's chuckling about that one.
I
I
know.
can
I'm
see it.
sorry. I'm trying to do this while you talk so that we have it ready.
Uh huh. You know what?
It's
Maybe
so
we could.
weird that the sun was 29 Aquarius when Pluto was discovered. And now we're
Right?
at 29 Capricorn. And it's
No,
about to go into Aquarius.
yeah, because I mean, this is a relatively short time from 1930 to 2024 is only 74 years or 94 years, you know. Um, so anyway,
Can you see the chart again?
yes, we're
Okay.
good. So where is Pluto in its discovery, but in the 12th house? So we have to recognize that Pluto definitely um, was probably a wonderful nudge to highlight Jungian issues. Jung and Freud being so focused on the unconscious and dreams. The space of Pluto being there is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It really gives you a heads up for things. Something that is not noted here is that Uranus in the ninth is in a biquintile to the moon in the fourth. And it's also in a biquintile to Neptune in the second, with Neptune and the moon being quintile. To have that esoteric configuration upon the discovery, to me, says this is an elevated work that it can do in the chart of people who are spiritually responding to the soul growth that the outer planets can facilitate with you working with your subconscious, your shadow,
Yeah.
and those things. Because, I mean, Neptune is the planet of dreams. Pluto is in the house of dreams.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is frequently looked at as the planet of the unconscious,
Oh, yeah.
um, or the subconscious. You
Yeah.
know, that we talk about the sun and moon being conscious and unconscious. Uranus, the awakener. Wow, we're going to go there? So maybe we're supposed to be really looking at the dreams. What do they have to share for us? The Sun Venus conjunction out of sign from Aquarius to Pisces ends up showing itself later on at this space in one of the discovery charts, or one of the ingress charts. We'll see it in a bit. Um, the planet Mars is in the seventh house. That is considered in some elements of esoteric astrology as the direction and the energy of your chart is going to move. The North Node comes in with a conjunction to Chiron opposite the moon. Now, if you wondered about this idea, is Pluto regarding some sort of element of spiritual healing? There's that North Node showing that the path forward is about healing. And the moon happens to be in Scorpio, that would plumb the depths of the darkest parts of our psyche in the fourth house itself. So there's definitely this connection with the unconscious psyche that Pluto's going to connect with. I really cannot see how we can escape seeing those things as being very powerful.
Yeah, this
And
is around the time that uh psychology became really much more in-depth psychology. Psychology's been around for a long time and people knew about it, but it was the time when it really was uh, looked at as something that actually really matters for the self, for the healing, and what it really means to look at the shadow and the subconscious and your dreams and all that. And that's kind of when the Jungian
mm-hmm.
psychology started, and it's so Plutonian. It's so fits. It's
Yeah.
actually perfect. And I didn't realize that it was Pluto when it was discovered. And I guess I realized it at some point. I must have forgotten that it was when it was discovered, it was in Cancer. So we've come to the opposition, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
we just finished the opposition. That's a big deal. That's a big, big deal. Uh, and how far we've come in terms of
Rapid change.
healing, change. Um, Personally, you know, for us as people within families, and then how we give importance to it in society in general. You know, when I was when I was young, you know, everybody would have like a crazy uncle or a crazy aunt or something. But maybe it's because of Chiron and Aries, I'm not sure. Now people pay attention more to that stuff. So they don't longer just say, oh, she's just crazy, you know, where it used to be um much more dismissed. But it is really telling that I don't know, I find it telling that it's in the 12th house, which is
You're making me think of something else too when you mentioned we've gotten past its opposition. Um, it takes 248 years, 246, and we've only had less than 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me it has gone through signs of short ascension, suggesting that does that is that something we can confer may have created a feeling of the last 100 years being rapid changes,
Talk
feeling
about
like
rapid.
time is moving faster.
Yeah.
Pluto has moved through half the zodiac in a much quicker time than its average would be. I think that might explain a little bit
Yeah.
as to why the modern world feels like things are going at breakneck speed.
What could you
Absolutely.
explain what short ascension means? What you meant by that?
Sure. So, with the elliptical orbit of the planets that travel the solar system, the outer planets and the asteroids go through some houses faster. So we call that a short ascension. It takes very little time, a shorter time to move through space to get through all 30 degrees of the signs of short ascension. The signs of longer ascension take longer to get through.
So
Uh,
this whole time it's gone through houses of shorter ascension since it was discovered. Is that what you said?
yes,
Oh, I
exactly.
see. Thank you.
So it's almost like it triggered this modern historical push
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to change.
Right.
And there's, Uranus and and Eris are in a wide but still a conjunction in the ninth house, awakening us to imbalances in our world is something that has been going on probably easily for the past 100 years.
Oh yeah. Easily.
We didn't have social justice movements of this uh,
No.
large influence in any way, shape, or form. We were lucky to have a few revolutions that succeeded.
Right. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
if you'd like to move on to another chart, we
Yeah.
can go ahead and do that.
Let's look at, actually, now that we're talking about, let's look at, let me bring up a couple of slides just for Pluto
Sure.
in general. Since we just talked about, we kind of grounded ourselves in the,
Mm-hmm. Nuances.
yeah, in the discovery chart.
Right.
Can you see my slide?
We're still seeing the discovery chart of Pluto.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Oh,
So,
also, I'll note Sun Venus conjunction in the eighth house with Pluto discovery. Wouldn't it stand to reason that the intense karmic attractive relationships are very powerful in the expression and experience of the modern human?
yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Intense is one of those Plutonian words. I try not to use that word unless it's really appropriate because everybody uses the word intense with Pluto. But it is the right word. It is the word. It doesn't
Yeah, in other words,
penetrating.
they use compulsions. Well, that's intense.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I thought it would be worth sharing these bullet points that are from Cosmos of Psyche because they're so, I mean, I really like them and I'm gonna read them because I think they're worth hearing out loud. Pluto's associated with the principle of elemental power, depth, and intensity. There it is again. With that which compels, empowers, intensifies whatever it touches, sometimes to overwhelming and catastrophic extremes. It's associated with the primordial instincts, libidinal and aggressive, destructive and regenerative, volcanic and cathartic, eliminative, transformative, ever evolving with the biological process of birth, sex, and death, the cycle of death and rebirth. It's associated with upheaval, breakdown, decay, and fertilization, violent purgatorial discharge of pent-up energies, purifying fire. And he talks a lot, Richard Tarnas talks a lot about that cycle, which is birth, sex, death, and rebirth. That is the Plutonian cycle that we all metaphorically have to go through during these transits and, collectively. Situations of life and death, extremes, power struggles, all that is titanic, potent, and massive. Pluto represents the underworld and underground in all senses, elemental, geological, like an earthquake, instinctual, political, social, sexual, urban, criminal, mythological, demonic. It is the dark, mysterious, taboo, and often terrifying reality that lurks beneath the surface of things, beneath the ego and societal conventions and the veneer of civilization. See, there's no, all those words are so talk about,
absence of gentility.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no gentleness there.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing that was made note of when it first came out was atomic power was deep into the research of development at the time.
Yes.
Underground, the dark underbelly of society with organized crime.
Yes, absolutely.
Huge.
Totally. Mob mentality, like
here in the US, it was the kickoff of the Great Depression.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which Plutonian issues can take you into dark spaces if you're having difficulty working with it. It rules underground resources, so oil, ore, minerals, caches of resources, treasures, things that are put away that represent wealth. So does the banking system.
Yeah.
It is putting away gold, money, and having this connection to our power, our shared power, which is an eighth house thing. So clearly it makes sense with the Scorpio nature. Tarnas really tackles this beautifully.
He does, and that's why I kind of wanted to put it up here, because he really nails it. There's just one more.
But while you're getting that up, it also may be realized too, the purifying fire is what we imagine with the heat and fire of the sun being so intense. And we see Pluto exalted in Leo, which is ruled by the sun.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Rick kind of pointed this out to me. Rick, that I didn't know. I didn't really realize it was exalted in Leo. Which in some ways can be very fitting when I look at it. Because Leo is one of those energies that is, when it's, in its good expression, it can be penetrating like that. It's about to be in Aquarius, which is the opposing sign of its exaltation. So that'll be
the fall.
Yeah. So he also says, in mythic and religious terms, it's associated with all the myths of descent and transformation, and with all the deities of destruction, regeneration, death, and rebirth. Dionysus, Hades, and Persephone, Pan, Medusa, Lilith, Inanna, Isis, and Osiris, the volcano goddess, Pele, the serpent power, Kundalini, Shiva, Kali, and Shakti. all words, all
Power words.
power words and power mythological or
Energies.
Yeah, very much so. Which is beautifully put by him. So let me share does anybody have any questions up to this point? I'm going to bring up the next chart. Actually, let me do this. So let me orient you as to where we're going to take a little Pluto journey. And right before we started tonight, I realized I made a mistake on this slide. So forgive me. I'm sure you will. So we looked at the Pluto discovery chart in 1930, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to start looking at Pluto as it travels through Pluto, it enters Aquarius. It fully will enter Aquarius next month. This is my mistake here. It's January 26, 2008. It entered Aquarius. And then you can see it doesn't just enter it, Aquarius or Capricorn cleanly. It goes back and forth a couple of times. And that's normal that it'll do that. So we're going to take a look at the the Pluto and Aquarius chart, and see what we find there. And I have not looked at this chart very much.
Do you want to review the Capricorn chart?
I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say.
First?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
And if it turns out that we happen to mistakenly throw something out there that raises a question, feel free to go ahead and ask.
Yeah, so this is the Pluto, and I think I have this right. Yeah, January 26, 2008. We always use Greenwich is a key. I feel like there's
for the sake of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because of its orientation.
Do you all hear a buzzing?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
I'm not hearing it.
No. Okay. I'm going to try to ignore it.
But somebody else heard it.
Yeah. I just can't look at them right now. I don't know if it's in my room where I'm sitting or if it's in the room virtually. But anyway,
it sounds industrial, whatever
right?
it is.
It does sound industrial.
Like what are they drilling over there? It's Pluto.
I know. It's Pluto himself making an appearance. So this one, you'll see Pluto right here. I mean, the thing that stands out the most to me with this chart is obviously the opposition to Mars. It is out of sign. So in 6 more degrees, it would be in Cancer. So it would be fully in opposition then. But I think it's still pertinent, with the outer signs, you can afford a wider orb. And that is, it's like, to me, that says, I'm getting ready for something hard, for something tough, for a fight. And I'm going to be really, the soldier in me is coming out for sure. And, Capricorn is a no nonsense sort of sign. So anytime you put any planet in Capricorn, it's not here to fool around. Putting Pluto there, he means business. And I think I think personally, we had a lot of stuff in our world with a lot of violence, just a lot of violence. Now, we can say that for many different reasons, but I just think the amount of the violence and the escalation of this energy has been so prominent in the last 15 years, 20 years even. where people are almost, they're just like they've lost their minds. But also on a bigger level, say, the police department, the armed forces, that kind of thing, the wars, the attacks. That's the thing that sticks out to me most obviously. Eris is over here doing absolutely nothing, which I think could be it could be very meaningful. The fact that Eris is doing nothing, but I think we're going to see as we progress into the next ingress, Pluto is going to square Eris, and that becomes very, very key. Very key. The idea that you're just going to kind of look the other way now, that's not going to work anymore. That's not working whether you're in education, whether you're in, I don't know, in a family, in the government, in whatever, in the world. People are not turning their cheek anymore and just kind of pretending. I mean, even just the phrase, if you see something, say something, that's so key, right? It's so key to where we are today, is that we're not going to, your silence is actually just as meaningful as your aggression. You know what I'm saying? And that's,
and it is complicit.
yeah, yeah.
That's the key that we're recognizing. We have to look at our silence as tolerance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know this is off topic, but it's really not, because I went and I looked at Jose Menendez's chart last night because I was watching the documentary, and the idea.
Sounds like a lot to dive into, because I've been following different things on it as well.
You have?
Yeah,
Well,
we should really.
Really fascinating, because
Yeah.
I didn't follow the case to begin with. I mean, I kind of saw it in the news, but I didn't really follow it.
That
And
was the time we
last
were
night I
busy in
really
life.
went deep with it. And the idea that you do not keep your mouth shut is such a healthy expression of this energy, because in a family or anywhere, somebody doing something inappropriate, wrong, violent, just wrong towards another person shouldn't be tolerated. And the idea that your own mother is just wild to me. It's just, it's actually not wild. It's actually makes sense for her generation. But think about what I don't know, I haven't seen her chart, but it made me think about Pluto in Capricorn. And it made me wonder, a lot of the stuff with P. Diddy as well. Do you know how many people are coming out of the woodwork? I'm not saying that that is, that they're all right. I don't know. But in other words,
if a fraction is the real stuff,
it's a
there's a
big
lot
deal.
of problem.
I think it's a really, 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 it's a big deal, and it's a good big deal, because we shouldn't, that's a really good barometer for us bringing out this darkness, us bringing out this shadow and this unhealthy muck that's been living within us.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if this means anything, but what about all the Aquarius in the third house of community? Is that indicating that perhaps the people in the community should start interacting better to bring more, I don't know if that means anything. I just see all that Aquarius in the
It
third
is a lot of
house.
Aquarius.
I would say neighborhoods,
yeah,
as the building blocks of community, because there's a lot of people that try to focus social justice efforts spreading through grassroots neighborhoods, and your neighbors are part of what is recognized as the key to get to community, that you're using that word. So that third house is definitely interesting there. I also noticed that Eris was in conjunct something off, but I can't. I have to see the chart again.
Yeah. Sorry about
Um,
that.
but that's definitely a great
It
thing
is.
to mention. The third house. It's the moon. So with Pluto going into Capricorn, isn't it funny that and certainly the moon as females in public
Mm-hmm.
would have been triggered for the Me Too movement
Right.
to be continued because that was just so crazy. And yeah, and look at what we're seeing there is a North Node in Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius about communication, the healing of Chiron with the spirituality of Neptune. We're really wanting to see I think it could even suggest a nostalgia towards the way things used to be, and that might be making us long for what was once an idyllic image of the American culture
Yes.
that may have paved the way for this negative um, make America great again. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Because Neptune gives that idealism, but also there can be a falseness to it, to what is seen.
I think we've seen a lot of, I guess, the Neptunian reaction of or expression of uh, what's real, what's really real here. What are
Mm-hmm.
you? Is what you're saying real? Is what you're doing really who you are? Who are you really? Yes, Linda.
Maybe Neptune sitting with Chiron also suggests the illness, the woundedness and illness of the collective, because Neptune is kind of a higher octave of the moon, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, but what do you all think of this Venus and Jupiter sitting with Pluto in this conjunction? That's the first thing I noticed. Like, oh, Pluto came to do a slash and burn job on our love of the material plane. I mean, this poor second house, it's got Venus and Jupiter, like everything should be fine. And here comes Pluto and says, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very great observation, Linda.
Yeah.
Especially with Mars and
Yeah,
this opposition creating a tension between personal values and shared values,
right. Personal and shared. Yeah.
because that's the second house, eighth house
Yes.
dichotomy.
Right.
Right.
I was talking to somebody today. I don't know what got us talking, and it's my son's girlfriend. We were talking about the amount of the consumerism, which I was really delighted that as a 22-year-old, she shared that view of the consumerism is just off the charts. It's unbelievable how years ago, years ago, you would have a closet that had, just enough clothes, and that was fine.
That was it.
It was that was normal. And it's just so normal now to just keep getting more accumulation, consumerism, capitalism. Wow, it's over the top. I do think I'm seeing a lot more, especially the younger generation, um, which is great, of going towards the uh, what do you call it? Simplification. I'm not using the
Minimalism.
minimalism. That's it. Uh, which is just lovely. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's swinging back the other
Yeah,
direction.
the minimalist movement has come along with the tiny house movement.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
They've been
clean,
forced to because of the economy as well, and that they can't afford to buy houses. So, in a
Exactly.
way, they already were heading in that direction, but the economy is kind of forcing them there too. So they can't really break out of it.
Right. Uh, no, it's a good point because I'm reading more articles about friends buying a house together.
Mhm.
Uh, spouses that aren't man, woman, man, man, woman, woman, just a spouse that really is just a friend. Um, and I don't mean like a sexless marriage or anything. I mean, on purpose, people marrying just for the sake of being able to afford a home.
Right. Oh,
It's
wow.
so, and it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, that's where we're headed. It's more. I mean, I have a joke in my house that we're starting a commune because we just like each other and we like to be together and we like to cook and we could just be very happy sharing things and doing things so that our lives are made easier because we're together. Um, in other words, sharing responsibility, sharing resources. And it's really nice because I'm seeing more and more of it intentionally. They're doing this intentionally. But I guess you're right, Erica. The fact that people can't really afford um, a house or
To
whatever.
keep expanding into suburbia and covering every square inch of the earth with a new house. But it's also like they're recreating the old fashioned families where you have extended family with parents, grandparents,
Yes.
grandkids,
Yes.
everybody helping each other, but it might not be your biological family. In this case, it could be friends or people from a
Right.
community that you
Right.
have things in common. So it's the modern,
Yes. It's the
iteration of that,
modern
maybe.
family. Um, and I
there's
think,
actually a word for with Pluto that it is a push for authenticity
mm,
Mm.
that is in the psychology and
yeah,
meanings of
yeah,
Pluto, and with this confusion of values that capitalism has convoluted. It's
mm,
pushed people to look, well, do I really want to pay an overinflated price for a house that really does not have the intrinsic value
right,
that they're putting the price tag on it for?
right.
Or do I want to simply have the space to live?
Yes,
That's a different experience. It's
exactly.
more authentic.
That's really a good point, Rick, because I think it's come around and it is going towards that pendulum now where
Mm-hmm.
people are leaving corporate America to, I don't know, make weave baskets because they want to be more authentic in who they are and they realize the almighty dollar might not be what makes them happy. um
More
it
people are carrying free trade items that are ethically created and sold.
right.
So there's more value of individuals.
So I put and this is like just a little bit, and Rick C also has more to add. We saw this is just a few of the themes we've seen since 2008. Obviously, it started off with a bang with the financial crisis and what that did to the banks, to how we hold them accountable. And this is something that I've been thinking about. You know, because now we're almost at the end, right? We're weeks away from being at the end of this cycle. And I'm not saying that, on November 18th, it's all going to be different, but I am looking to see what is changing. What is changing because a light was shed on a lot of these topics. So, did we actually rebuild in any way? And I don't know the answers to that. And we may not see those answers immediately. But I think that's part of the Plutonian urge is that it will rebirth something else. I was telling Rick C today, and I have another slide to show you on just this one. The worldwide protesting that we've seen since 2008 has been wow. I mean, just wow. Talk about, we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to stand for it.
It's a Pink Floyd moment.
Yes. Yeah. And it's been, I mean, the marches and the protesting have been so just kind of a new, when they started, it was a really big, a lot of attention on them. And although there's still attention on them, we're so normal. It's normal now. I mean, thousands and thousands. You ever see those shots of like, I don't know, somewhere in Romania, there is like 50,000 people protesting. And it's like, it's amazing to me to see this, that the whole world, it's like the whole world is on fire.
It happened in Ukraine too,
Yeah.
when they got rid of that
Yes.
corrupt president that had been a friend of Putin's.
Yeah.
I think that was called the Winter of Fire and Ice or something like that. There's a very, very powerful documentary done
Oh,
about
really?
it. Yeah. I mean, they were shooting just individuals and students, just like they were at Kent State, but even more brutal and more people.
It's unbelievable.
I did not even hear of Arab Spring enough to retain memory of it. I have a very vague memory, but that was kind of kicked off with the 2008 issue as well. There was a lot of protests and against the governments in the. I saw Tunisia mentioned as well as other areas. So
there was so much hope about that. We really thought it was going to change everything until we realized what the dynamics of those countries were and that they couldn't possibly survive.
Right.
It was very sad, but it was very powerful too.
Oh, absolutely. Let me show you, since we're on that topic, let me show you this slide. Hopefully you can see my next slide. Do you see a slide that says protests and mass movements?
Yes.
Okay. I found this today and I was fascinated by it, and I can share the link with you guys if you want, but I don't know if these letters are too small for you to see. I can enlarge my screen, but this is
that helps.
You can see it? Okay. This is just since 2017. This is not since 2008. And this is just an enormous amount of social upheaval, political upheaval. Over 700 significant anti-government protests have erupted worldwide. More than 147 countries have experienced significant protests. 18% of protests have lasted more than 3 months. And 258 significant economic anti-government protests have occurred since 2017. And this was updated October 11th.
It just occurs to me, no wonder so many dictators want to put in an authoritarian regime because they're afraid of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what was going, well, and I was going to say what was going on when they stormed the Bastille, but that was the French Revolution that occurred around the time just after the American Revolution.
Yeah.
So it was this Capricorn energy that we are seeing.
Yes. I'm going to put this in the chat because I saw Linda taking a picture. And you don't have to work that hard, Linda. You can just Look at the, you can just look at this online. It's really kind of amazing what has happened. Whoops, I switched my screens. All right, let me go back to the previous slide. Do you see that one now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we saw a lot of social issues, expansion of movements advocating for gender equality. We're still seeing that, LGBTQ plus rights, um, the racism topics with the just racism in general, and then police brutality, just so many. This is a tiny bit, really, of a snippet of everything that's happened in the last 15 years. But if you look at this, it is one of those things that I put this down here as an example of this. Just came out last night. You guys probably saw this, especially Erica. Los Angeles Archdiocese reaches $880 million sex abuse settlement. That's just one example of that.
John would have seen it because he reads 3 papers a day. I'm too busy and it's too depressing, so I don't necessarily do that.
Well, I was happy to see that, even though it's awful, that these people are being held accountable. But this is not a new story. It's just,
Well, the idea that they're being taken to task and not being shielded because it comes from a church. That is the Plutonian part of it.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It happened in Australia too, with all those children that were taken away from their parents by the church, and how they found all their graves and everything. They had killed them, if they didn't listen, and just been all over the world.
Really just incredible. So
I know that was a significant time in having information come out as far as the church goes.
totally.
Yeah.
Let's look at the
One of my favorite astrologers says religion is dead, it's passé, it's brought nothing but destruction and harm to people, and it's time for it to be over with. That's Steve Judd, the English astrologer.
Oh yeah, I like Steve Judd.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff out of his work. So
You
we're
want to
going to go
look
to
at
the Aquarius.
the Pluto and Aquarius ingress, and then maybe
Yeah, let's take a quick gander at that.
Yeah. Then we'll move on to your charts. But before I do that, because I don't want to forget this. Okay. There's the link. Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So this is the first, so if you saw in the slide that I had up previously, it's gone back and forth, right? This is the first time it went into Aquarius, and it's done that twice.
And there's that Pluto Mars in conjunction this time. It seems like the theme of the in conjunction hits somehow prominently between a couple different ones. It makes me feel like Pluto is requiring adjustments in our thinking.
Adjustments to how we use our freaking, fighting power. How are we?
Our integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm going to take a quick gander before can you leave this chart up? I want to go ahead and look at a chart that I happen to have available, and I'm going to share some insights.
Do you want to, do you need to share your screen?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Oh, I think this is an interesting one. Can you go ahead and bring attention to the nodes and how they've returned?
Oh,
from
yes, yes. So
from the time of the Pluto discovery.
yes, from the Pluto discovery, the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio. So the North Node was in Taurus, I believe at 4 degrees. And this time it's for the first Aquarian ingress, it's at Pluto. I mean, sorry, at 5 degrees of Taurus.
Yeah.
Which to me is a really big sense of, what
Renewing
are
our purpose, maybe?
well, why don't we get I'm thinking absolutely, but what are your values that you're going to stand by? And because everybody talks about values, but what are your values really that are unshakable, that are real, that are going to be your mission statement? Because Pluto wants that from you. Pluto requires that. What are you going to stand for? And whether that's personally or collectively, I think it's calling attention to values. Of course, in the last 15 years, we've seen, well, we like the money. We want the money. We like the money. It's all about the money. Is that really is that really what you want? Of course, everyone wants some sense of security. You have to have that in order to be sort of, I guess, well balanced. You can't really be well balanced in your life and feel okay if you're homeless. There's certain needs that need to be in place.
Right.
I thought it was interesting when you pointed that out because it's so, I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot. And then tonight actually made me think about it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I think that that's important. But what if I let go of that thought?
Sure.
Why does it have to be like that? Why can't I, be happy with this or try this that feels more like it's aligned with who I am in my heart, as opposed to what I think society views as success or, you know, you're doing good, kid.
Mm-hmm.
So this chart is, oh, didn't we have for the discovery chart a 3-degree Leo ascendant?
1 degree, I think. I've got a 1 degree.
For the
It was
discovery
3
chart?
degrees. It was 3 degrees.
3?
The one you showed us was 3, yeah.
Okay. I
Well, it's
was using a
close.
different.
It's pretty
Yeah.
close. Yeah. And then this one is a 1-degree Leo ascendant, which I think is interesting how Pluto's on the descendant here. So
Yeah, I think that's incredibly
yeah,
telling.
yeah, yeah. How are we going to relate to our brother and sister and neighbor?
Yeah, because it's interesting that you have the ascendant where Pluto is quote unquote showing up in this way of expressing itself.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, the nodal axis has realigned with its discovery time. So the way it came out, this is what we need to be owning.
Yes.
How about authenticity in our personal values?
Yeah.
Because of Taurus,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
uh, honestly looking at who we are and what we think of ourselves, as opposed to getting all mixed up in some of the strange ideas of some people who are misguided or dealing with trauma that
Right.
they're not quite processing in a healthy ways. That tends to
Yeah.
confuse things.
Or identifying with who so and so thinks I am, and so I want to be that instead of who you really are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that brings to light some thoughts I've had about Neptune dealing with these images we have of ourselves, but not really maybe it's our target of what we would like to be,
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that's who we are in the
right,
capacity to go
right.
ahead and do such amazing
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
We have to make an honest effort to bring authenticity to the delivery of what our hopes are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we don't even want to talk to each other about
Sure.
our beliefs because our beliefs have become so polarized that we just trigger each other and, go off into our corners to fume rather than trying to strangle each other.
Well,
Because we do have different values. Some
Right.
people really don't want change. They want those old fashioned ways. And other people say, those are all fake and time to change or throw them in the trash bin. So we still have to work a lot of this out. But it is true, we have to really acknowledge what our values and beliefs are and give each other permission to discuss them so we could debate them with each other and see if we can both grow and understand each other's side a little better and come a little closer that way, because we haven't done that in a long time. It's been so freaky, been
Yep.
impossible almost, especially with them not allowing, discourse in universities and not allowing people to speak, or
right.
Right.
firing them because they have outrageous beliefs. But then whatever happened to putting all the ideas out there so that you can
Wrestle.
Yeah.
You should be able to go ahead and tackle them academically in a safe environment
Yeah.
with difference. This is bringing to mind some different things. So I'm going to just try and table my thoughts and maybe have a final word if we'd like to move on to get to people's charts.
Yes, that'd be great. Do you want me
It's getting late.
do you want me to bring up the ingress chart for November? Rick? I don't have, whatever you want to do is fine.
For the
Aquarius?
how was Pluto running? How Pluto has been running through different people's charts.
Oh, you want to do it now?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, great. Yeah, let's do it. I was thinking I'm going to start with Sigmund and then move on to Chuck. And I have Sigmund. Oh, come on. I had him right here. Okay. You're my first contestant on The Price is Right. Sigmund. So you have a lot of Libra in your chart. So there's been some squares from Pluto. Can you see the chart? Can you see the chart on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So you've had Pluto going through your 12th house and your first house, and it's been squaring a lot of your Libra planets. So, your Jupiter, your Venus, your Chiron, your Mars, the one that got hit, the I shouldn't say it like that. The one that made contact first was your Neptune, and then followed by Mars. So that would have been something you felt. I don't know exactly when you would have felt that. Probably 2008, maybe 3 years, maybe 2011 or 12-ish. I don't know. I'm not good with math, but
I would definitely throw some comment here to suggest that with all that Plutonian subconscious triggering to the ninth house spirituality, it seems to me that there would be a lot of review and leveling up in putting into words your spiritual awareness of how life has been and how you choose to conceptualize of it. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So
It's
can I
basic.
ask you, Sigmund, because this is one of the placements that I'm very interested in finding out about, just because Pluto going through your ascendant is such a big deal. To me, it seems like that is quite significant. So if you take Sigmund back in 2008 and you fast forward to 2024, knowing that this went through your 12th house and your first house, how would you say you were different now, or you have come to a different understanding of yourself?
Well, basically, things are um, overall calmer, mellower, more expansive, larger, more powerful.
It's great.
Did you
Yeah,
happen to take note of what was going on in your life when Pluto was hitting your ascendant?
no,
Uh-huh. I'm
no.
guessing maybe around 2010 to 2012, maybe a little after.
Yeah, it's. I was retired from before then, so things were as they are now, more or less as a rule. So I can't be more specific than I have
Right.
been.
Okay. Okay. Well, as a Capricorn ascendant, and actually Rick D, I was
He
talking to
also,
him. Yeah, he would have been one of those folks that has the Capricorn ascendant. His life has changed quite a lot since then, for various reasons, but it was, and I know he wouldn't mind me saying so, it's been the making of him. It really has, internally, and then obviously how he is in the world, his mark on the world, but internally, it's such a big transit. My son is literally, he's a Capricorn ascendant 29 degrees. So it's on him now. Yeah. I saw Linda understand with that. Like, as a mom, I've been going, oh, but it's good to hear, Sigmund. That's great. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you both.
mhm.
Let me bring up Chuck. And I have to undo it and then I got to do it again. Okay. Chuck, I just want to make sure. Do you know if your rising sign is a 3 degrees Cancer? Does that look right?
You could unmute Chuck.
Yes, I think that's, sorry, I was answering you, but I guess you didn't hear me. I wasn't that. Yeah,
Okay.
this looks right. This looks like
Okay.
my birth chart. Yes.
Yeah. So, and this applies to all of us, it's probably gone through at least one and a half, two of your houses. So depending on how wide one of your houses is, usually it's about two that, it's gone through. So you would have seen this change in your life in a couple of areas. It's not just going to be one area. So it's gone through your seventh house. It's entered your eighth house. And that's that's a big deal. I would think your partnership, your business partnerships, your relationships, how you viewed those things, what has transpired may have put you in a position of, do you have any cardinal? Your moon is in cardinal. So it would have squared your moon. That that probably caused maybe some unrest either emotionally or around the home. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know in terms of a relationship. It doesn't just have to be an intimate relationship either. But and then it entered your eighth house, which
What time, just to get on the same page with you, what time horizon are you looking at right now? Are you talking about at?
so I'm sorry, I don't think I understood, but I think you're asking what time are we looking at?
Well, when you're this time frame that we're referencing right now, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm looking at
Okay.
I know
Yep.
this is my birth chart, but I'm trying to get a sense of what time
Yep.
horizon are you drawing the contrast to?
Exactly. No, I know
Well,
what you mean now.
if I can help you out with this one, there was issue where there are some people that mistakenly think that Pluto went into Capricorn as late as November of 2008, and it has to do with that little wobble where it takes the retrograde and goes forward. So for it to get to the 3-degree mark, you're definitely looking at probably 2009, 2010. That would have been when it would have crossed over into the 7th house more firmly in your chart. So that's when, so in the early stages, you would have felt the rumblings and there would have been the unsettling.
Major changes in my life in 2009.
Yeah.
On multiple, both at work and at home. Both.
Yeah.
Right. Well, with that moon, it probably would have been more difficult with women in general.
Well, one involved women, yes. The other, the business side of it, had just to do with just what was
Sure.
going on in the world. So yeah, not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a significant.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
was
pretty
pretty significant.
Yeah. Oh, sure. You're not the same Chuck after that transit.
No. And by the way, that's let me just think about this a little bit. Was that the time? Even just a little before that, but yep, right. But that was very significant. In fact, that's about the time that I started to work with Rick, right in this
Okay.
spot, right in this spot also.
Yeah.
Right about that, because we talked about it's been, I don't know what it's been, but it was definitely we were working together in 2009, and it was probably before that.
Yeah, I referenced that in my description as the 11th hour. You were experiencing this culmination of awareness before the trigger gets pulled. Like you're seeing before the accident occurs, the event. You're seeing the parties getting ready to collide, and then it crosses over the cusp, and all hell breaks loose.
Oh yeah.
But you certainly can see it.
And anytime these things, especially, I think, either have some connection with your own personal planets, or they go across any of the angles. That's pretty significant.
Thank you.
You are paying attention. You're not gonna just say, "Oh, I thought I felt it." No, you feel it. So thank you, Chuck. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you've come through on the other side.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see who's on my list. Peggy. Let's look at Peggy. Okay. Peggy is gonna have it went through
Second house.
her second house and into her third. And do you have anything in cardinal? You have Saturn and Neptune in cardinal. Aries. So you were another one that would have felt it. Saturn squaring a Pluto transit like that would have been very much felt by you. You might have felt like you couldn't, you were in quicksand. You just couldn't dig yourself out of your life in this area, as far as, it's either something having to do with your sense of security in the world, your sense of security within yourself. And it did make contact with Chiron, so that could have been, you know, ultimately very healing, but then wasn't easy. You know, you went through some dark night of the soul type things. Would you say that resonates with you at all?
Yeah, 2003, I had breast cancer, got that taken care of. So 5 years later, at 2008, I'm struggling to lose weight. I'm struggling to stay in jobs that give me security
Uh-huh.
for my future to
Right.
make so I could have Social Security, money to live on. In 2008, I worked in a mental um, institution, and I saw what happens to people who just go over the edge, either from a young age or they get ill and they end up, mentally ill, or and also they had the child abusers and everything at this place. And
Oh,
I realized that my life was not that bad. I thought it was. So, I mean, I kind of got a glimpse of
right.
hope
Right.
that these people are so bad off. Then that, as I progressed through different jobs, I always had difficulty in my jobs because I didn't feel I was uh, capable of doing it. I always had a what do you call it? I didn't feel that I was,
Imposter syndrome?
no, just when you feel you can't do it, but you could, but then you think people are holding you back, and you're holding yourself back. Anyways, so
Mm-hmm.
that all went on until 2020, at the end of my career.
Wow.
And my body, I mean, when I worked at Torrance and then on through, I had bad spine with
Oh,
arthritis, and I had to get I was just getting worse and worse, and my health was deteriorating. I had a lot of bone pain. So lo and behold, I retire, and then comes March 22nd, 2023, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, and I got my hip operation, and overnight everything changed. It was for the better. I mean, it still took me a year, to get through all this, but now I'm in really good health. I can walk, I can run if I have to. I can mow the lawn, I can do all that. So that, being in Capricorn, really wrecked my body, and my a lot of stuff went on.
oh
But
yeah.
now in Aquarius, I feel so light and buoyant until it is opposite my Pluto and Mars and all that. But so far, so good.
Right.
Peggy, you would have also experienced somewhere around 2004, give or take a little time, the likely Chiron return at the
Yeah,
same time
yeah,
that these
that,
things were going with Pluto running over it, you know?
yeah, that was when I had the breast cancer. That was my Chiron return,
Uh huh.
and yeah, it was pretty awful. I thought I was going to die. A lady I worked with, she died. She was in the same place with me, and she died. Then I got breast cancer,
Oh gosh.
and the whole department was devastated. And I wouldn't talk to anybody, and I didn't cry until I was done through the whole thing. I did not cry once. It was that
Wow.
awful. It was awful. I was just like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm gonna get through this. I have to go to radiation every day, and that's the way it was.
Well,
My
Peggy,
mom
you are a
also had that
tough
problem.
cookie.
I was thinking
Yeah,
tough as nails.
Yeah.
I
Well, yeah.
know, and so it was an interesting time. It was with me more physical, and then
Yeah.
of course I had a self-esteem
Well, you
issue.
don't have that much physical go on without having a lot of time that your thoughts go towards, hmm, what is going on with me? You know?
Yeah, we're glad you're on
Yeah,
the
and
side of it.
yeah, so it was very interesting. I mean, to look back on it, not to go through it again.
No, I know, I know.
Right.
You went through
Yeah.
war or something.
Well, that's what you said. You were interested because you wanted to
Yeah,
look back. We would look back and go, oh my God, or oh yay, one or the
right,
other.
right.
Mhm.
But it really, it kind of did away with a part of you that was really, I guess, sabotaging you because you have such
Yes.
a strong sense of self now. And I mean, we even, I mean, I see it.
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't known you that long, but it's your whole energy is different. And I know that
Yeah.
didn't come easily, but it's talk about this is what Pluto does with us. It's just the sense of personal power that you gain. And no one can take that from you. Once you've been through that kind of transit, it can be so somebody turned you inside out. It can be
But
really
you
hard.
have to not let it, you can't let Pluto run over you. You have to run with it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know
Well,
how to
it's
say it.
that's the transformative power of
Right.
Pluto. So that when you're going through something that feels like a crucible, it changes you into something alchemically that you
Right.
rise above.
If you can. Not
Yeah.
everybody makes it.
Right. Yeah. It's uh, you crack through the breakthrough space you need, or you croak.
Yeah. You really learn how you really learn how your reserves. Um,
Mhm.
I have a sister who has a bunch of planets in Cancer, and she recently told me because she has been quite sick, she goes, I don't even care about that anymore. I've been through hell. I've been through such terrible hell that all this stuff that I was worried about at one point, it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Where you've been through such serious stuff, it really gives you perspective that you didn't want to gain in that way, but you do now. You just go, oh, well, that doesn't matter. This matters.
Right.
um, Thanks, Peggy. Let's have a look at Christine's chart. Christine has a different chart, but she did have it going through the second house as well. It started off in the second house. Um, in
Take care, Chuck.
Okay, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye, Chuck. Take care.
You know.
Sigmund, did you want to say something?
He was waving to Chuck.
Oh, so Pluto started off right here for you, Christine. Again, really forcing you in a way to have a look at your sense of your value on yourself, your self-worth, your resources. It could have been money related. Sometimes it's money related, sometimes it's not. But it does have to do with what you consider valuable and how you consider yourself, and your self-worth. It moved through your third house. And in fact, it's still it's coming really, it's basically on your Jupiter right now. It did go through your Saturn. So I'd love to hear what that felt like. So in terms of your sense of uh, your mind, your communication, how you're learning, your relationship with your siblings, your friends, your neighbors. There's something that this brew has been brewing in that area of your life. I don't know if it's any of those specific things I just mentioned, but you're feeling it right now.
Um, well, there was a family issues with people that, well, not, not my extended family. and they have all kinds of issues. So people that I was very, very close to, I'm cut off from. And so maybe it has something to do with that.
Right, right, right. And right now it's expanding that for you. It's either whether it's the family issues, it could be something around a move, your neighborhood. It is actually squaring your
Oh,
own Venus too. So it could be work related. Um, but
well, I do a lot of rescue with cats, as you know, we've talked about. So I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted right now. So I'm trying to um, just organize the rescue and what I'm doing so that because have a horrible tendency, I take on everything. I don't know how to say no, so I just take on everything, and
uh-huh.
then I don't have time to even breathe. And that is where I'm at right now. Like I'm making time every Thursday for this,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
this astrology show, which I love. But normally, I don't make time for myself at all. I'm really trying to make time to do some things that I really, I
Right.
really want to do
Well, this is
before I die.
probably, yeah. But that would be good, right? This is going to help you weed out the things that are going to matter to you because when everything is important, I used to have
You
a
need,
boss. I used to have a boss that said, when everything is important, then nothing is important. You have to choose what is your priority. And I'm not saying that it could be related to this work you've been doing with the cats. It's likely related to the daily life, the daily work, the daily routine. Though you're gonna have to make an adjustment.
Is that what it's showing? That I need to make an adjustment? Or that
Well,
I
well,
am making an
let
adjustment?
me throw something in there. That Pisces sun and Chiron in Pisces, I don't think holds a candle to the intensity of having Neptune on the ascendant in Scorpio.
mm-hmm.
That Neptune on the ascendant in Scorpio is absolutely what is leading you towards a life of faith, surrender, yielding to your spiritual path almost compulsively. And
Right.
because it is near compulsive, that's why you need to go ahead and look at if you had two incredible projects that
Yeah.
were equally rewarding, but you could only have the energy and time to do one, you need to figure out how it is you would decide between them.
Well, it would depend on if it
There's so
involves.
much. It's a process of your soul's development that'll help you with that. You know?
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Linda.
I don't know how to. Yeah, I would definitely. To me, people and animals are more important than you know.
I would
Just
take a look at what happened in your life when Pluto moved over your ascendant. Find the time that occurred to understand how it is you're supposed to show up. Because there would have been events that would have shaped you at that time between the Pluto conjunction with Neptune and then crossing over onto the ascendant. It would have totally shifted your experience.
Linda, you were getting ready to say something.
I just wanted to say about your chart that to kind of bring it down to something, I agree with what Rick said. We should look that up, that Neptune. But Venus squaring Jupiter, the bottom line is promising more than we can deliver. And that's not because you're a bad person or you're trying to get something for free or whatever. It's just that's in you, in your personality, and it's just there. You can't help it. You overcommit. That's the Jupiter. Jupiter expands your love and your, things that you gift. So you promise more than you can deliver. The Pluto's sitting, affecting it right now that you've been going through.
Right.
It's taking you down to the point of exhaustion where you have to just figure out how much can I commit to.
But it's also a great time with Pluto transformation of your Jupiter expansion to evaluate where is the place that this needs to happen? Where do I go ahead and give? That's why the time is now for that.
Okay.
Linda, thanks for pointing it out.
Yeah,
you did that
yeah,
perfectly.
but the Neptune, she would have been so little when Neptune went up her ascendant.
No.
You saying Pluto?
Pluto. When Pluto went
I'm
over
sorry.
the ascendant.
I thought you meant.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Pluto would have hit Neptune first, and then gone over the ascendant, and she would have been well into formative,
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
About
sometime in the 90s or late 80s.
Yeah, it's 90s.
in
Yeah.
the 90s?
Yeah, just a minute. No, maybe it's the late 80s. Maybe you're right, Claudia.
I can tell you in un momento. Hold on one second.
88.
Hit pause a moment on the recording if you would mind. That way we don't have so long of a while we're doing some calculating.
88, 89, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, that adjustment that you're going to have to make, you will know. It won't be a mystery to you. You already feel it. You feel it's like a wave. You hear the wave, you feel it on the sand sometimes, and then it hits you. You will know, and it'll continue. Just because Pluto is going to go into Aquarius next month doesn't mean that that story's over for you. It's still within the orb that you're going to feel its influence. It's weeding what matters.
All right. Thank you.
We are over on time, but I do want to get to Renate. Renate, can you hear me? I'm not sure if she can.
Yes, yeah, I can hear you. I heard you all the time.
Okay.
But I'm lying in bed and don't feel very well, but I'm listening.
Yeah. Do you want us to your chart of where Pluto's been on you?
Yeah.
All right. So Pluto has been going over your fifth house. It started off in your fourth house. That's so when it went into Capricorn, it was in your fourth house. It's now in your fifth house. The fourth house, I'm sure you probably know it has a lot to do with your internal life, your oftentimes your home. But it also squared your moon at some point. It squared basically everything. In fact, you have a Pluto square going on right now. Pluto, your natal Pluto is being squared by Pluto in the sky.
No, it's opposition.
I'm sorry, you're right. It's opposition. And that's a big deal. Yeah, it's a really big deal. All these are opposition. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You must have felt that.
Because normally it should be when I'm 125, but it hit me already now, the opposition,
Yeah.
So how did you feel that in your life?
At the moment, it is inside out, you know. I don't know. I don't make decisions at the moment, what I'm normally always do. And
Yeah.
I made a lot of decisions without thinking, but now I'm thinking, and I don't I don't make any decisions at the moment. I don't know going back to Mexico. I don't know if I move out of this house and
Mm-hmm.
move into back into an apartment. I don't know anything. And that is for me an awful situation. And I feel my body pretty much, but nothing happened. As I told, I have no cancer.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I don't know if it has to do with Pluto that much, because normally I know what I want to do,
Yeah.
but now I don't. I just don't know, and I wait until Pluto is off this
Right.
opposition and
Right.
hope that I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you're smart to have that approach is to wait. I mean, everybody's different and you have to do what feels right for you. Uh, but sometimes when you don't know, the best thing to do is to sit and just,
That's what I don't like.
yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. It's funny. I'm the opposite but it's probably testing you internally, like, it's bugging you. Uh,
You know, I'm seeing, I'm letting go, and said, "Oh yeah, it's good." I let it go.
yeah,
I wait, and then it comes back. Well, I should make a decision, and it goes on and off that way, you know. And at the end, I see, because for me nothing is an accident. It is. It should be like that at the moment, that I just don't know, and
right,
that I give up my own will, uh, and just wait. Yeah, what what Cosmos or whatever has for me to do.
right, 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 right.
And I
It,
think when it goes in Aquarius and off my opposition, something will happen.
it'll unfold. There's no question.
Yeah, I'm
This
sure of that.
that's for sure. Um, let's take a look at John and then we really got to wrap up because we are way over. So thanks, Renate. I hope you do feel better.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
You just need to rest.
Good.
Yesterday was bad.
Good. Okay. So you've had it a little similar to Chuck, John, not exactly, but when it quickly was on your moon, around 2009, 10. I mean, those years had to be pretty critical for you. Can you hear me? John?
Maybe he has the mute on.
He doesn't. Maybe he's
Do you want to maybe throw Linda's chart up in the meantime?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't, yeah, no, I do have it. I do have it. Linda, Linda, Linda. We have so many Lindas. I love it.
It
Okay.
is a beautiful name.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Linda. Oh, wow. First house, second house. Boy, I
And a
mean,
Sagittarian ascendant. So to have Pluto go through Sag and then come out of the angle, that must have been a real bump in the getting moving.
It was true.
Yeah.
yeah. How did you experience that? And then it squared your Venus pretty soon, pretty quickly there.
Yeah, and now it's square my moon. So
oh, boy,
it's kind of a Plutonian life if you look at it, because I am a Scorpio, and it went over my midheaven, then it went over my Venus, Neptune, then over my Sun and Mercury, then over my ascendant, and now it's squaring my moon.
And interestingly enough, you came in with Pluto conjoin
The
the
North
North Node.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have quite the eighth house power connection.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
How are you feeling it on your moon? I mean, yeah, squaring your moon.
I don't know how to even answer that.
Really?
I feel like there's been feels like a lot of chaos. Well, no, I mean, just physically, like messes like that, trying to like eliminate things, get rid of things, stuff like that, that part. But then the interesting thing is my partner has the moon in Cancer at 21 degrees. So recently I've come to understand that it's fascinating that we have made this journey together.
Yeah.
Now things have sort of settled down. But it's been pretty strange and rocky, and I don't think we didn't anticipate that.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it's just been like kind of crazy. And now it's sort of starting to like we're a little more conscious and like, oh well, we can just be nice, and you know, we'll have days when it's kind of crazy, but that's all right, you know. But yeah, it's trying to get even a handle on what this has been as it's finishing up is, you know, do you have any suggestions? I mean, I moved 8 years ago, so it was before it hit that moon, but it was was squaring the fourth house. Yeah. But the whole journey of Pluto here, I went from officing with someone in 2001, which was really significant. And then at the 2009, he was ill and we had to close the office. And then I went into a different situation that was equally wonderful. So I really had a pretty good time of self-expression and growth and working and that kind of thing for a long time with Pluto.
Nice.
Good. I'd say get rid of stuff. Get rid of stuff you don't need. Yeah. Get rid of stuff you don't need. I mean, that's really good advice for anytime.
The hardest part is not like clothes and stuff. It's my office, because this is my life, my entire life.
Yeah.
Well, you have that Sun Mercury conjunction, so your thoughts are your life.
Yeah, right. That's true. Get rid of those.
How do you get rid of your thoughts?
Well, I just have lots of files of stuff, you know, of everything I've done, and I'm writing, and you know, it's just like all kinds of stuff going on. But I think that's it. A messy, messy fourth house.
Well, you have a good attitude, and you have come through a lot, so you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine.
I think if I made it this far, if I can make it all the way through November, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, we have to wrap up.
Thank
you guys are just the best. Thank you.
That was good.
We had a ball
really
working with this.
This was really great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
It
was wonderful.
Always great to see everybody. Renate, feel better. And
feel better.
Yes, everybody hang in there, and we will see you, and we will see Rick next week. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.
Much love and many blessings, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.